But with the growth, let me just point out that I get enough. I've had enough of it. Like,
On the 17th episode of 18avenuepodcast.com, joining me on this week's episode are my good friends Obina Okorie and Frank Worley to appreciate and salute the strong women who have made a difference in our lives, our mothers, whom if it wasn't for their immense sacrifices, we would not be the men we are today. Here are some of the things that were discussed in this episode.
yeah, like my mom's the kind of person that like she had surgery like on her knees, and she was back at work in 3 days because she's like, the house is closing in on me. Like, I'm bored. Like, I need to go back to work. That's who she is. Like,
You know, she would leave her whole life back in Sierra Leone and just say, taking my kids to Canada because I want a better life for them.
Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow the Instagram and Facebook page, and check us out on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and iTunes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this episode of 18th Avenue Podcast. My name is Rico Bottles, and today joining me here is my two special guests, friends, brothers at this point. My man.
my name's Obi, your boy Obi on Instagram.
And
Frank. Retired DJ.
welcome, fellas. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to have the both of you. It's hard enough getting one of you, not alone getting two of you. So, welcome. The hustles continue. Is this one mic thing going to be an issue?
Can we hold it? I told you it was going to be an issue.
Well, I just don't know like how it's, I didn't anticipate having two guests on the show at the same time, so I just don't know how it's going to pan out. But anyway, right now you just,
Turn up the
come on,
volume.
man.
Turn up the volume.
You're black. You can, Nah, that's not the solution. But anyway, Obi, how's life, man? How you doing?
Life's great, man. New opportunities finally happening for me. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the future. That's for sure.
Yeah, I understand. Like you have this new job now and whatnot. Is that like the newest fresh thing on the block for you?
Yeah, right now, like it's just great after being at something for 5.5 years, basically to start something new. It's like the change was needed. So like now I feel revitalized, something to get more excited about.
Yeah. Was that something? Was that hard to do? Because most people get in that groove,
Yeah.
that sweet spot. They've been doing it for a while, the same old thing every day, and starting over can be a terrifying thing. How did you overcome that, right?
So at this point in my life, the most important thing has become growth, for me anyways, trying to figure out, what my purpose is. I did that for, like, my last job I got into wood. I wanted to be good at it. I was good at it, and I got comfortable, but it was time, you know what I mean, to try something else, and because you need to keep changing to grow. So you can't stay at the same thing and be complacent. It doesn't help you grow.
And Frank, what about you?
What was the question?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a comedian in the house, Big Frank Worley. No, just like
How's life?
how's life?
Life is good, man. Family, friends.
You have some
Old
big
friends,
things.
new friends. Job. Things are good.
What's been the most exciting thing for you in the last few weeks?
Damn, that's a tough one. Well, I celebrated my birthday. That was an exciting time. Just like last weekend, that was an exciting time. Birthdays are always fun. Got to see a lot of family that I haven't seen since January. And usually we end up seeing each other in the summer. But yeah, that was a pretty good month, October. Yeah. How about you, Rico? What's exciting in your life?
You already know. Well, I've been, you guys know that's the only reason why I'm in Toronto, Canada today, really, is that I've been traveling now, the country for the past 3 weeks. So I probably have another week or so, or, and just kind of doing Total Strangers and doing a documentary series on COVID and homelessness, here in Canada, in the city that I travel in Canada anyway, just trying to kind of figure out what the problem is, and hopefully we can start a conversation around that, and eventually we get a solution coming in, Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like how you threw that curveball back at me.
I'm gonna give him a minute. He's gonna be like, "Shut up! I asked the questions."
Nah, you're not getting me like
my
that.
podcast.
I think the best way to go is like, it's always best because as much as it's your podcast, it's always nice to figure out what your answer is to the questions as well. So I think that's going to be a good thing to even go around everybody.
Okay.
Right?
Nah, I'm not gonna edit it out. I think we can all like learn from each other. I mean, the universe itself is such a little tiny small molecule that all of us were interrelated via our stories, our experiences, right? And that's what the platform is all about. Let's talk about like strength. Where are we, like, Obi? What would you say? COVID has been clearly like a tough time on everybody, not just on certain individual. You go from the economy, work, and family life, and things like that. What would you say has been the thing that you gained the most from this experience, and how has that kind of made you stronger?
From COVID, I don't know. I feel like before COVID, there were a lot of distractions in life, basically, and it's kind of given me a chance to sit down and try to start figuring out what's most important. That's where the whole wanting to grow came from. It's like, now I don't have anything else to hide behind. There's no running around. There's no doing all stuff. We're locked down. Mm-hmm. So then you have to basically look into yourself and, start basically, fixing, growing, mending, right? That's the way I see it. Right.
Frank, what about you?
What was the question?
Is this going to be like one of these Dave Chappelle moments where every time you're correct?
I'm just listening. In terms of growth during COVID, I don't know. I don't know that I've so much experienced COVID as a growth kind of moment, because for me it wasn't. I mean, I was just annoyed I couldn't go out and do stuff. But as people know, who knows, I can sit at home by myself, no problem. So it hasn't, I don't know that I've experienced growth in this time. I will say though, the whole situation forced me closer to people I was already close with. It also kind of made me reach out to people I don't usually talk to, but we are close friends. And, just having that time, you're like, oh, what's this guy up to? And then, you end up talking to them for hours. Like, why didn't we do this before? Why is it all of a sudden we can't go out and, like Obi said, be distracted? All of a sudden you're like, oh, who do I really like? Why am I not talking to that person? Yeah.
I think.
How about you, Eric?
Yeah, don't. I like this though. I like this because I think everybody, and I'm not just the only person. We're all friends and brothers in this room. So I'm not just interviewing you guys, but I think this is more of like a conversation for all of us, and hopefully we can look at it in a few years and gain something from it. But I think going to COVID though. Since moving to Calgary, Alberta, I think my initial plan was, I had this idea when I was in Windsor. I was like, okay, I know what I need. I know what I want. I need money. And I need money to get more camera equipment, more gadget, more whatever, because I had this idea that I wanted to achieve this thing. but I didn't anticipate all the other stuff that would come into that. And one of those catalysts became work schedule. I thought that maybe, I could go into this environment and kind of like work for a little bit and then spend the other little bit pursuing my passion and pursuing the things that I care about. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case at all. I mean, working in the oil and gas field, I was just reading an article yesterday. These people are just figuring out that it's not a healthy environment, that it's taking a toll on people. I'm like, you could have just asked me.
Only
about
now?
this. Yeah, I could have told you this shit. Like, living in a camp environment where you are out there for whether it's 30 days, 15 days at a time, and you get like this 1 week off, that's 7 days. I mean, your body, the adrenaline is still going because keep in mind, like, you're climbing stairs all day, you're going here, you're climbing this tower and that tower. So it's like a continuous thing. So when you come home, you're not even in the mind state to create or to sit down and write. And if you did, you write a line and then everything just... So I think for me, COVID, what it did was it slowed things down, and it did that intentionally. And for that, I was grateful because once that happened, photography is something that I always just kind of struggle with, trying to find my style, tone, because that's really what it's all about. Someone go on your page, they want to make sure all of the tonality is, is flowy, and I've always had issue with that. I wasn't satisfied with where I was at before because I would come up with this today, tomorrow come up with something else. Yeah. But now with COVID, I was able to simply focus more and say, okay, cool, how could I create certain presets that I know works for me? And it doesn't matter what environment I take a picture in, all I have to do maybe make a little adjustment here and there, and boom, but I still have that. So I've been able to do that, and I've also been able to get started with my videoing and different, just a whole creative outlet. So for me, I think COVID just put me in its zone, because if it wasn't for COVID, let's tell the truth, I would have 1,000,001 reasons why I couldn't be here right now. I got to go back to work. They just called me up. Sorry, dog. I haven't seen Frank, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think that's what COVID was able to do.
But with the growth, let me just point out that I get it now. I've had enough of it. You know what I mean? Like COVID was something that I thought, would last a few months. Even when, with my last job again, when we left the office, I just took the important things. And after all this time, I had to go back and be like, I need to grab my shit. This shit is going to go on for a long time. I've had enough. I get it now. You know what I mean? I know where I'm supposed to be. I get it now. All right?
I literally thought it was going to last 1 week.
Really?
Yeah, I had a trip booked to New York.
You're gonna hold
I'm like, we're going.
Oh, at around that time?
Week, yeah.
Oh.
By next week, everything's going to be fine. 1 week. They'll figure it out. Never mind.
Did you go to New York after?
No.
Oh, you didn't make it?
No.
Good thing.
I would have been stuck there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Chuda would have flew you back.
Nah, man. He would have said, hey.
What month is this?
Just stay. This was March.
Oh, yeah.
My New York trip was like March 27th.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy times.
Yeah. That's cool. So now I realize Frank doesn't want to hold that mic. Obi's holding the mic.
It's easier. It's actually quicker. It's like, huh? No, I want to talk.
Because I'm realizing when I'm trying to talk, I don't get the mic. He's still holding it on his
Oh,
hand. I
yeah.
got to grab it. So this is just working out better for me.
I can't just be like, okay, that's all I have to say. Here's the mic back. You're going to be like, wait, I might have a little bit more, but yeah.
And it's good because now you can just cut him off whenever,
Hey, man.
Exactly.
Wow. Let me grab the tools. I'll build you a rotating thing.
Oh, man.
Spin the mic.
Well, first and foremost, Frank, congratulations on your mother's 60th, big 60.
Yeah,
and
birthday.
Retirement.
Yeah.
It's huge, man.
Yeah, 40 years in the nursing game. That's tough. She's seen some things.
Yeah, that's huge. That is
Yeah. She's very happy to be retired. Now we're all like, what are you gonna do now?
You're gonna stop building stuff.
I don't know about that, but if she says she's coming to your house to clean, just let her.
Yo, you know what? What's your mom up to? I know, like, she's a. I don't want to put words.
She's just a working man. Like my mom's what? My mom's she's a little bit older than Frank's mom, and we've tried to talk her into retiring, but her whole thing is like, what else would I do? Like, really? Yeah, like my mom's the kind of person that like she had surgery like on her knees, and she was back at work in 3 days because she's like, the house is closing in on me. Like, I'm bored. Like, I need to go back to work. That's who she is. Like, right? And that's something to look at and be like, man, I gotta like try and live up to this. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Right? So yeah, she just doesn't know what else she'd do. So she's pretty much gonna keep working as long as she can. Yeah, she never plans to retire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And don't get me wrong, like Canadian medicine is very different from where she was in South Africa. So no offense to Canadians, but to her this is basically a joke, right? Because she came from casualties, so stab wounds, gunshots, and working in the emergency room, to Canada where she's a family physician. So she's like, I can sit down and talk to people forever. Like this is nothing, right?
Oh, okay. So she doesn't really have to go through the same hustle and bustle, running around,
working 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Like us being on different schedules with her, never spending any time with her. All that stuff changed when we moved here. It's different.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Would you say that your mom is your role model?
Dude, my mom is more than my role model. My mom. The funny thing is, like, my mom has it was just my mom and me and my two brothers, and you talk to other doctors that she came up with, and you ask them how come they got to Canada, and they'll say it's because of my mom, because a single mother with 3 boys can get here, then why can't a man and a wife with 1 kid do it? Like, a lot of her friends say like she inspired them, so she's more than inspiration to me. My whole life, but it's not just her; it's her whole family. So my whole life I've been surrounded by extremely strong women. So like. And I'm supposed to be a man. Like there's no way you can't get it done. You got to get it done. Like,
yeah.
That's it.
I remember. Clearly you guys know my mother deceased long time ago, but just this memory of her. There was one time, remember like the war, right? Because in those days, like if the soldiers will order you to kind of like walk a single file line, and if you were walking that line and you got pulled out of that line, you had to talk for yourself. It's like there was a phrase that he used. It went something, I'm just paraphrasing this now, but it was like, soldiers speak for themselves. And so one of my brothers, Marcus, got pulled out of that line, and my mother, being the woman she is, she stepped out of line to go and talk for him and basically challenge the soldier. We're not talking grown men that are soldiers here. We're talking 14 years old kids that are under the influences and things like that. But just that bravery, that overall bravery. And so many times in my life, I remember when we lived in Danane where we didn't have a whole lot, and she made the call to leave Danane, which is a part of Ivory Coast, Danane, to go to Abidjan, which would be like the big city. It would be like leaving, I don't know, some village somewhere and coming to Toronto, because that's the big city, right?
Like leaving Calgary?
Yeah, just like leaving Calgary and coming to Toronto. And but she would go there. This is a woman she doesn't even speak the language. She doesn't speak French. She doesn't do any of that stuff. Like none of that. Everything's over her head. And for her to maneuver her way in that environment and move the way that she did, and eventually was able to connect with someone who then introduced his uncle to her. And here's the crazy part. His uncle turned out to be a guy that my mother did business with when things were normal in Liberia back in those days. And then he was able to say, yo, just go ahead and bring your family. So when I look back and I see all these different things, I tell myself, what reason do I have really for giving up? I just got to keep pushing. It doesn't matter. And for me, it's not really necessarily about being perfect. It's just about doing.
Do you ever feel like there were situations in your life where, like, I mean, other people were like would have been pulled out of line, or even the kids that were themselves these soldiers, like, what made you different from them? Like, basically, like, sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, it could have gone like a million other ways. Why am I so blessed? Like, how was I able to get here? I didn't do anything, right? My mom keeps saying it's because of the will of God, right? But sometimes I just sit down and I'm like, there are other kids who, like, I'm not better than they are, or there's nothing that separates me from them, but for some reason, like, it just worked out a little bit better for me. Do you ever think about that?
Dude, I think about that all the time. My mother used to say to me, she's like, you went to church and sat on the right bench. Because I'm adopted, so like my biological family, that's like, my biological family, when the war starts, a whole lot of things happen in between. Ultimately, I wind up on the street just going from one house to the next house and begging for food and begging for this and begging for that. And then I just kept knocking doors, one door after the next door. I remember there was one instant, I was just a kid. And then there was I came across one of the CEO, because that's what they call them, these rebel leaders. CEO who was like, yo, or general, what they call, maybe not CEO, that's the wrong term, but general. It's like, Frank want to interrupt. Don't let him interrupt too much.
In Sierra Leone, we had one called General Mosquito.
And then there was another one called General Butt Naked. You heard about that guy?
Yeah, that was Congo, right?
No, that was Liberia.
That was Liberia. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Hey, don't be giving our heroes to the Congo, man. We got our own
he's like a pastor or something now.
He's a pastor now.
What do they call him now?
I have no idea. All I know is that
General Butt Naked. That's what they still called him.
in a documentary I watched, and they asked him.
I saw that documentary.
Yeah, like if the war started up again, what would you do? He's like, you got to do what you got to do. I'd probably go back to the same thing. That's crazy, and he's a pastor now, right? Like that's just something else.
He's saying human nature over your call to God. Anyway.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I heard.
But I think I seen that documentary. So there was this general, I remember, like, being such a kid, and he says to me, he's like, okay, cool, here's the deal. You got a choice. You can join, because there's a lot of small soldiers around me, kid, AK, all kinds of crazy guns. And he's like, yo, you can join and be a part of my crew, my team, will train you, whatever. Actually, literally gave me that option. But I don't know. As a kid, I've always had these instincts. I knew that when things got too much, or that it wasn't the right environment for me, so then I would borrow out of that situation. And it wasn't long after that I would meet my mother, who, treated me no different from somebody she pushed out of her own womb, And I think, so believe me, I'm always grateful. And I think that's why I do the things or I pursued or passionate about the things that I'm passionate about today. Because really, I'm not special. I think the only difference is now is whether or not, if it was somebody else sitting in my shoes, what would they be doing with their life? You know what I mean? Yeah. What about you, Frankie?
What was the question? What was the question? Was there a question?
Like basically, do you think that, like, geez, I can't even remember.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Okay.
You were like, do you think that you are here, I'm paraphrasing, do you think that you are here because you did it all, or like, should you be more grateful because could it be anyone else that could be sitting here in your place today?
No, I agree. I'm not special. It's like you guys are talking about your mothers. I wouldn't be here without mine. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's crazy looking back. These are things I don't think I appreciated as a kid, but the fact that she would leave her whole life back in Sierra Leone and just say, there's a war going on here. Will it end? We don't know. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, family. Taking my kids to Canada because I want a better life for them. So like I said, when you're younger, you're like, why are we moving? What about all my friends? But looking back, it's something I definitely really appreciate, and the courage that it took for her to do that, to be like, I'm gonna go there. I've been a nurse for like 20 years. She was a military nurse, and she was a major in the army in Sierra Leone. And to leave that career that she's had all these years and to go, you know what? For my kids, better life for my kids. I don't know if I'm going to have a job when I come to Canada. I don't know how long it's going to take me to be a nurse or to be at that same level. And it did actually take her a while. And so it's huge that she was able to do that. And even on my dad's side, the fact that he could just go, you know what, you got a couple businesses, nah, let's do something for the kids. And I'll forever be grateful for them for doing things like that. Because when you're 40, you're not thinking, I want to start over at all. Like, I'm 34. I don't want to start over. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure. For sure, the gratitude is there.
The other thing for me, again, with parents and sacrifice, right? When we lived in South Africa, I believe, like 5 or 6 years, right? And one of the things that blew me away was that my mom was fully licensed in the U.S. Like, we had lived in South Africa, she was fully licensed in the U.S. Lo and behold, we go to the U.S. for a little bit, and she's like this environment won't be good for my boys. And then we move back to South Africa, and then she gets licensed for Canada. Like, to me, that blows my mind. Like, you already made it. Like, you're already out. Because every time you get licensed for a doctor, there's exams. There's, getting used to the way they call different pills and all that stuff. Everything's named different in different places. And to get your licensing in America, like, you have your license, all you need to do is move there and get a job. And then she's like, nah, this environment won't be good for my boys. I'm going back to South Africa, and I'll come out again. And we came to Canada after.
Because you said that that's it part. I gotta ask you guys, do you think that not just our generation, but the generation after is at the point where they're kind of selfish and wouldn't do that for their kids?
Man. Ooh. Damn.
I think because of where I am, and I think because of how long it took me to understand her struggle, I don't think it wouldn't be the same. Like, it's like I do the best for my kids, but I don't have to move the world. Like, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, all I got to do is make sure they're good. So I don't know. I can't say for sure about the risk, because I know that, like, even now when you have a job, you hold on to that job because that job pays all your bills, right? I can't see myself being like, I'm just going to drop this with no plan and dip. That's not where we are. I think the situation determines it.
Right. Yeah, I'm with that. That make like total sense. The circumstance is different. Mothers now are not in a war zone. Canada has not been through a war since World War I or World War II, or like even the Iraq War. But Canada still wasn't in the war because it wasn't a war here. It was a war in someone else's country. So, the circumstance. So I still feel that mothers have to take extra care of their kids. I think some of them are doing those things when you look at, even some people that we went to school with, whom today have also, I guess that would be in our generation, right? But you're talking about the generation after. No. But similar thing. Okay. So when you look at some of the sacrifices that their parents made, where whether they were doctors, they made sure that their kids now become doctor or follow that sort of like career choices. So I think some mothers that are in that position are making those calls. But I think right now we have a serious issues as far as how, just how the economy is. When you think about it, our mothers, like my mother, for instance, she made move, and then she sort of like always playing chess, you know. She set the pieces, and then we got to go and walk that. So she set it, open the door, boom, we go and enforce that. Even just coming here, she goes to the place, you know, and apply for resettlement, for the resettlement program, and boom. So then my brother Tor or Micah's, these guys got to pursue that and go and keep checking and checking and checking. So she set those pieces. So mothers today and the economy, I don't want to make an excuse, but the economy where kids today, parents, family are not even sitting around the table to eat. It's gotten so bad. I saw one time in Calgary, President Choice was sponsoring another group of people or organization that were, it's gotten so bad that this organization is essentially responsible for creating sort of like a dinner environment or like a picnic environment for families to come together and eat on the same table. So it's a severe issue. But I think that it's still on an individual, regardless of what the economy is. You can't have kids raising kids, you know, and doing this and doing that, and then the parents are just never around. Like you look at Alberta, for instance, over 250,000 of the population of Albertans work in the oil field. That's men. So which means one of that parent is never home. Yeah. Never home, you know. So the kids don't even, they know their father can provide whatever, but not to mention the other issues that come with that. Not to mention the cheating, not to mention the freaking prostitution, not to mention the divorces, don't worry about it. Not to mention the divorces, not to mention all of these different things that are going on. Not to mention the single mothers, and people are breaking up, you know. So it's like, it doesn't have to be a war environment for mothers and parents to step in and create a certain environment for their kids to look at years later, like we are. I know, like when we were at that age, we probably didn't appreciate it. Nobody did. But now we can sit back and be like, yo, yeah, our mother did the shit. They did their thing.
Yeah, that's definitely crazy. Even like, I remember like moving to Canada, and like South Africa is, I wouldn't say it's a bad place to live. It can be rough, right? And I'm not like, I mean, it's not Liberia or it's not Sierra Leone, but it was rough. And then you land in like,
it's still rough. What do you mean it was rough?
Right?
It's still rough.
It wasn't Liberia. We didn't have war, but it was worse.
It was.
No, but
apartheid. Were you there? What year was this?
So I got I got to South Africa in '94.
This is apartheid.
You know, like apartheid technically ended in 1990, but I still lived. So I lived in 1990. Was it 93? No, so I got to South Africa in 97, right? Apartheid ended in 94, right? In 1994, I lived in Swaziland. And Swaziland is just basically another country inside South Africa that has no idea what's going on, right? Outside, because
but they're rich, isn't it?
Swaziland?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
Okay. Oh, no, it's Switzerland.
Switzerland's what you're talking about. Like, but I'm saying coming from like where you came from and moving to Newfoundland.
Yeah.
What's that experience like?
Oh, well, first of all, we didn't even know we were going. We just knew we were going to America.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were going to Canada.
Okay.
So you can just tell the shock factor.
Same thing. Same place.
Dude, not the same place. So I remembered, you guys seen Cool Running, right? Okay, cool. So here's, you haven't seen Cool Running?
Maybe I have, man. I'm not like a movie buff. I might have, don't remember the name.
If you see Cool Running, you remember it.
Well, no, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it. Okay, there you go. But you need to watch it. That's your assignment after this conversation. You got to go and watch it.
I got it.
So this is like,
have you watched Coming to America?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So this is 97. People go to Newfoundland now and they're like, yo, Newfoundland is developed, you know, it's looking nice. Or some of them have the opposite reaction. Man, this place is crap. It still looks like crap. I was like, all right, cool. Where were you in 97? So 97, I remember, you know, we go through Paris, we go through all these various big cities. Toronto, I think we spent like a night here in Toronto before going to Newfoundland the following day due to the snowstorm. We arrived in Newfoundland